Welcome to Iowa Pagan News, your informative internet radio station catering to all pagans worldwide. We are dedicated to bringing you the very best in music, news, events, and lots of fun stuff. Come tune into our new podcast at www.plrdn.podbean.com. Now, here is your host, Lou Silverwolf Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Iowa Pagan News and Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network. As always, I have to say thank you to my good friend Ginger Ackley for doing all the intros and promos for us, as well as my good friend Sue, who is Sue Balachek, who is also being so kind enough to do a few of them as well. So we're just keeping things going here as well as possible. Now, this afternoon, I am joined by my special guest, Lisa Wagoner, who is a pagan blogger for Pathos called Witch Indeed, and she's also the maven of mystical curation at Wand and Earth Metaphysical Shop. Plus, she's also the author of Positive Pagan, which we're going to be discussing this afternoon. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you for taking time out to join me. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Now, I've been reading through your book here, and I get, as I made a comment before we went live, that Lisa and I are very similar, and we wear many hats in our line of work. She's doing almost just about as much stuff as what I am.
Wow.
Which I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Plus, let's see, it also says here that you've done workshops at Mystic South, Sacred Space Conference, Roto Psychic Expos, as an ordained priestess and minister, and you're also a certified Reiki master.
Yes, I am.
Very cool. Now, describe to me there's in two traditions. Celtic tradition I'm familiar with, but what's the other one that you're the master in?
Oh, the Usui? You mean for Reiki?
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's my original what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, this time of day my brain gets fried. When you get the certification, there's another word and I can't think of it. So I during when COVID started, I discovered Celtic Reiki, and so I got certified in that. And Usui is from the original creator of Reiki, who is Japanese. And so in many things you go through the lineage. And so my teacher is part of the lineage of that original master in Reiki.
Very cool. Yeah, I was not even going to try to pronounce that one because I know that I would destroy it. So.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Well, you said Pathos correctly. Most people have been saying Pathos, which cracks me up. But I was like, yeah, okay. So.
Yeah, well, I'm familiar with Pathos Pagan because I've read many of their articles over the years. So
yeah.
I'm quite familiar with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this. Now, what was basically what's been your spiritual background?
Well, I mentioned this in the introduction. I grew up with a form of what I call folk magic. I grew up with a German mom, an Austrian grandmother. Austria borders Italy, so I got a little bit of Strega in there, and just grew up with things that we did and had in our home that we didn't really have language for. So we had things like kitchen altars and kitchen witches and, manifesting, different kinds of rituals, all kinds of stuff. We're a Catholic family, but we did all these things. And so when I was older, I realized, there was a language for that, like, manifesting and, altars and things. And so I was like, oh, okay, wait a second. I've been doing this like my whole life and just didn't really have the language for it because I just thought really it was stuff that my family did. And so that was the start of my journey And then within the last 10 years, Bridget called to me. So I'm devoted to her and ordained in her name. And so I follow a Celtic pagan spirituality. I follow the Wheel of the Year and the Celtic holidays. And I honor other deities, but she's my main one. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you've got, to me, this is also a good book to have in any library.
Thank you.
Is the way that you've got this laid out, um, especially okay, let's get started here. Now, um, you start off with the first steps, fundamentals of magic for staying positive.
Hmm.
And it's always good that you're starting off with, seems like you're going back to the basics, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of like messages saying thank you for making it simple and practical. And that's just this book is basically like me in book form. So yeah, because I've worked in metaphysical shops for a while, and a lot of people come in and they're nervous and anxious and fearful, and they'll always say, "Well, I'm new to this." And I'll say, "Well, what's this exactly?" And they can't even articulate it, but they know there's something that they want to do. And so it was always really important to me to show them it's not scary, and to start out simply, and to just say, well, this is what I do. And then, use that as a springboard to follow your intuition and see what you want to do. So everything in this book is basically, these are things I've done. But if, for example, if I use lavender and you'd rather use rosemary, I want everyone to follow their intuition and do that instead. I mean, you won't go wrong if you follow your intuition. And so I've also heard from very like seasoned practitioners, and they said it really got them back into, making the mundane magical again. So, I mean, from both sets of people, I'm really tickled and honored that they think that from reading this. I really wanted it to be accessible to everyone. So I say that even in the introduction, like I don't want the word pagan to throw people off. It's just,
Right.
if you appreciate nature, you can read this book. It's not scary. It's not intimidating. And it's just something that will help you access the energy of positivity.
Hmm. And really, the things that you've got outlined here, making a choice, meditation, hydration, grounding and shielding, gratitude, and thinking of others. I mean, you can't go wrong with outlining the basics. I mean,
Yeah.
um, especially with grounding and shielding, you don't believe how many people who I have to remind to
Yeah.
ground and shield themselves.
Me too. I mean, same thing. And that's what I realized was, there wasn't really a book out there that sort of covered the basics. I mean, there's a few,
Mm.
like I began with like Scott Cunningham and love him dearly, but there's really not a whole lot out there that's just really like basics that you can build upon. So I'm really hoping that this book will fill a gap for several people.
Well, it should. I mean,
Yeah.
this is about as basic as you can get here, folks.
But in a good way.
In a good
Sometimes
way,
people think basic isn't great, but yeah.
Because the way this is, spells, meditations, and rituals for greater happiness, fulfillment, and confidence. Um, this would be a good book for even for for both beginners and seasoned people who may have kind of forgotten uh, going back to the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to get off track in the way the world is today. So
Hmm.
I'm glad, hopefully it can provide a boost to people that, they get back to the magic, because we're really magical people. And I mean, I have to remind myself, and, I was editing this book during COVID, and I have like seasonal affective disorder. And so I came to like a complete stop. I couldn't finish the book. I couldn't get out of bed. And there's things I do to move through the seasonal affective disorder. It was not working. And then one morning I was like, wait a second, I wrote a whole book on this subject. Why not just go back to the book? And it really helped me personally. So everything that's in the book is stuff I do myself, that has helped me move through some things as well. So.
Well, and it always makes me happy to see when authors are basically outlining things that people can use every day, and not just in their magical practice, but in their everyday lives.
Yeah.
Because especially those of us who do practice magic on a regular basis, and we get so wrapped up in that, we forget to we forget to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I think we get caught up in like sometimes the wheel of the year or big rituals and things like that where, just every day, there's mornings where I completely forget to, ground and shield and it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, wait a second. So I'm glad it's in written form as a reminder for people. So I'm really hoping it's interactive for them. I wrote it so that you could I don't know if you do bibliomancy, but I do. And so I just love to open a book and see what inspires me, or gets me thinking down a different rabbit hole. And so that's sort of the way I structured the book. I mean, it is starts from the basics and builds upon itself, but it is also something that you can just pick up and put down, or you could work your way through it. I have a lot of options, like where you could journal with each chapter and see where it takes you as well. So
Nice. Amara Wiley is chiming in, and she says that reminders are always good.
that they are.
Uh, you know, I have to. I admit that I have to do the same thing for myself, because especially with me being an empath, uh, I've learned valuable lessons about not shielding myself.
Right. Me
Is
too.
uh, yeah, I've learned things the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, we could always use that reminder, and especially nowadays, I think people don't realize like how much energy can get thrown at you. I mean, not even directed towards you, just be in your vicinity and how that can affect you as a person. And it took me a while to learn, like, is this my stuff? Because it would just sort of come out of the blue, and I'd be like, why am I feeling this way? And then when I learned, about being an empath and that, sometimes you process other people's energy, it helps you move through that process much more quickly, so that you can, I mean, I always liken it sort of like to a waterfall flow. That's what it feels like, where everything's like in alignment and I'm feeling good and positive and things are working. And I like that feeling. And so these are all steps that are in there to get you to that, or to clear out some of that, energy that could be coming from another person
Hmm.
or a group of people, whatever is happening in day-to-day life.
Hmm. Plus, I also see that you've got descriptions for a gratitude altar, a ritual, uh, and also a quick gratitude spell, uh,
Mhm.
which I don't see being outlined all that often. So that's also something that's something else that I like about this book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think gratitude is really important. I know, I've seen that phrase that people weaponize gratitude, and I get it. But I mean, gratitude gives you perspective in a lot of times. And I think it's good to get you sort of out of those like negative mental spirals, because, when you're upset, it's all about you. And I think being grateful gets you sort of out of your head and gets you, away from going down these rabbit holes. And so, yeah, gratitude is an extremely important part of my practice. So, yeah, I threw in lots of ideas of things to do. I had someone tell me yesterday they were going to create a gratitude altar near their work desk so that could help them through their work days. So I was really tickled about that.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Now, this brings up a question that I'm going to pose to everybody out there. Now, granted, we may not get a lot of answers tonight, but um, it goes back to how many of us actually do a journal and keep that journal on hand to refer back to. And because I know that there are several people who do this, but the one thing that I've been trying to teach our newcomers is that the one thing that basically I tell them that the best way to learn is to pick up books, write your own journal, have that to refer back to for your own experiences, and also to reach out to our experienced people in the community who have valuable knowledge to share.
Mm-hmm.
And by keeping a journal, uh, granted now I'm more along the line of because I have several writings. I don't I'm horrible at trying to handwrite them, so I keep everything online.
Oh, okay. That was going to be my next question, because there are people that don't like writing. Like,
Mm.
and what would you say to them for that?
Well, for something like that, uh, doing a blog page, developing your own blog page, or even a journal page, so that you can go in and do entries into that journal.
Mm,
Because I believe there are journal apps out there that you can use.
hmm
And Amara's got a question here. Weaponized gratitude, is that like weaponizing love?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know, Amara. I just heard that phrase one time that, it was in conjunction with like toxic positivity that people tend to weaponize gratitude. And by that, I felt like in the context of what was being said to me, it was more just like, you get hit over the head with that concept over and over again. So I've not heard it used in weaponizing love. But I imagine it means the same thing when you just sort of like knock somebody over the head over some with the same concept over and over again. That's the way I took it. So that's what weaponizing gratitude means to me. So if there's other explanations, I would love to hear them, but that's the only context I have. So, but
Okay.
yeah, no, journaling is really important. And like I said, I have an option that you could journal in each chapter. I think it's at the end of each chapter pretty much, where I have like a journal prompt where you can reflect. I mean, if you choose to read the book cover to cover, you can do it that way with, some questions to get you going. Cause sometimes, people do find, I love to write, so it's easy for me, but I realize that some people struggle with it or, don't like writing. But I mean, you can also draw pictures or collage or something, I think, too, just to, be creative with it, doodle, or just write down words. I mean, I think the best thing I ever learned was just, don't worry about structure, just write for the joy of writing. And that's so freeing because you don't have to worry about grammar and punctuation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True. And let's see. Now, getting into tools and supplies. In fact, I just wound up having a discussion yesterday with two authors who just got done writing their book, Thrifty Witchery.
oh, nice.
And it's due out next April.
Right.
And basically, when it comes to tools and supplies, they pretty much tell it like it is that you don't have to break the bank in
Absolutely.
collecting tools and supplies for your rituals, for spell work, anything. Uh,
Right.
it, you can do it on a very reasonable budget, and because I admit I can be cheap when I want to be.
Yeah. Well, it's always useful. Yeah, I think people get intimidated by it, but I always feel like, you can buy a lot of like basic tools, like at the dollar store, or you can go thrifting. I mean, I have found so many amazing like mortar and pestles at thrifting, and always make sure you cleanse your items when you get it from thrifting. But yeah, there's a lot of inexpensive ways. And everything I list in the book is all stuff that, you probably already have in your kitchen and don't realize, or you can find thrifting. So you don't have to break the bank. I mean, there's nothing like a really good statue or a really pretty altar cloth. If you want to save your pennies and get one. But yeah, most of the stuff you can get is pretty easily accessible.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing one other thing that they pointed out is that if you've got like an old board game that you've got stuff missing from,
Right. Yeah.
and you don't know what to do with it, you can use that fold up board as a platform for your tarot, for
Oh, that's a great idea. I
spell
love
work,
that.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that author. Llewellyn is having like a Llewellyn con. I think it ended
Mhm.
today. It's a
Yep.
virtual con, and I tuned into hers because I love stuff like that. So yeah, that was a really great presentation. So that was great. Mine was on toxic positivity versus positive paganism, which I can talk about till the cows come home. So
And it's unfortunate that right now the way things are that we are seeing a lot of toxic um, attitudes being formed in the community.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, anything toxic is not great. But also just the word, I think positivity, sometimes like when I say the title of my book, I notice people either flinch or they roll their eyes a little bit, because positive has, negative connotations. Like I even encountered that in my childhood, that I describe in the introduction, that, it was thought, that you're like, unworldly, naive, you don't understand what's going on in the world. The world's a horrible place. And I always felt like, even as a child, like, oh, I know this stuff is happening, but you still can feel like, to me, it was like a force of energy. And that's how I describe it in the book. It's a force of energy. And like for me, I call it an ember that I can tap into to, move through things and get things done and move towards the life that I want. And I think it was like a couple of months ago. It was recorded, obviously, but Gloria Vanderbilt, Anderson Cooper's mom, she's been through a tremendous amount in her life and a lot of tragedy, and she called it a diamond. And so as soon as she described it, I was like, oh, we're alike. Like she gets it, so she called it a diamond that she sort of tapped into when she needed it, when she was going through some, really bad times. So
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us have it. I think it's just a matter of finding it, because it can be covered up by, trauma and life events and things like that. So.
Right. Now, you also have your own blog site as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's through Pathos Pagan.
Right.
Um, what got you started being a writer?
Oh gosh, I have wanted to be a writer since I learned how to write. I have always loved language. I've always loved words. What was interesting, I mean, I have a story about that involves Thomas Wolfe, the author. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and he's famous for writing books about it. And so all my life I kept saying, oh, I'm a writer, but I never really wrote anything. And so I moved to Asheville about 7-8 years ago. And I came up here to look for an apartment, and I got discouraged. I got lost. I have no sense of direction. And I ended up at Riverside Cemetery, which is where Thomas Wolfe is buried. And like, I don't see dead people, but I sense their presence. And so for some reason, and it's really funny because he's buried there and O. Henry is buried there, the short story author. And I just sort of plopped myself down in front of Thomas Wolfe and I said, if you help me find an apartment, I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even sure why I'm moving here. But, if you could help me, you know what? I promise you, I will write. I will definitely write. And I will, get some writing published. And so on the anniversary of my moving date, I always go to his grave and say thank you. And this year I got to bring the book with me. And, it was full circle. Like, see, I told you I would do this, because after I left the cemetery, I found this amazing apartment, and I swear he guided me there because I wouldn't have found it otherwise. And so, yeah, it was really a nice full circle moment for that I was like, see, now I officially can say I'm a writer. But yeah, so I've been writing Witch Indeed for about 4.5 years now. So yeah, Jason Mankey used to be the manager there, and I think I met him at Mystic South, and he just said, I think he'd seen something I'd written or something, and he says, I really like the way you write. Would you like to join us? And I was like, oh, blogging would be amazing. So yeah, that's what I did. And he got me started. So I thank him in the acknowledgments because it's thanks to him I'm on this path. So
Excellent. In fact, I just had a chat with Jason last week, and
I know. Yeah, I dipped in for a little bit for it.
Mm-hmm. And he's gonna be coming back for part 2
Oh, nice.
on Wednesday. So it'll be this coming Wednesday. He's coming back for part 2.
Oh, okay.
I had to cut short the last one due to the fact that we had bad storms rolling in.
Oh, yeah.
So Nelson say, I asked him if he'd come back. He said, sure, why not? It's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always a joy to talk to.
Yeah, he is. Because it really kind of surprised me that this latest book that we were talking about, it basically is comprised of him and like 3 other people who collaborate on this book.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess it's just something that I've come to know this year, that a lot of people are collaborating together when it comes to writing a book.
Yeah. Well, it divides up the work, and it's yeah, I have hopes for that too. Hopefully with Patty Wigington, who wrote the foreword for the book. I love her, and my writing styles are very similar in our outlooks, and so I'm hoping to collaborate with her at one point to do that down the road. She's a busy person and has published tons of books, but yeah, that would be great.
Nice. So okay, so I know that you're the manager of
Wand and Earth, yeah.
Wand and Earth.
Yeah.
So tell us about the store.
Oh, well, the store is in a small town outside of Asheville called Marshall, and it's got like a real old-fashioned downtown. It's really lovely, beautiful architecture, and our store is in like one of the old original, storefronts. And so it's just filled with a lot of crystals. The owner handpicks them herself, and you can tell a lot of the stones, most of the stones have amazing energy, and she picks some beautiful specimens. So we have that. We have ritual items. We have, like incense, we have books, tarot cards. We have a little bit of everything, and then we also like to feature local artists as well, so we'll try to get some local art into the shop. And we're working right now on opening in part of the store a little tea shop, so that we can have just because it's really interesting when people walk in, they just always have this deep breath of appreciation, like, oh, I'm home. And so we want them to stay a while. So we're trying to it's been so hard with COVID and everything to get plumbing done and contracting work done and stuff like that. But we're getting closer. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have a little tea room in there as well.
Nice. Now, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, that's the shop that Byron had been talking about.
Probably not. I think she reads cards at Raven and Crone, which is in North Asheville. Yeah, we're outside of Asheville. That's where Of Wand and Earth is.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there's a couple of metaphysical shops in the area. So
yeah, I knew it was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of and things, Raven and Crone, Of Wand and Earth. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice that you've got that area that it's open to having metaphysical shops.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the county where our shop is, Of Wand and Earth, is in a real typically conservative area. And we have just been, I would say like 98% of the time we have been welcomed, and people are just so happy. And we get a lot of tourism now, so that people that genuinely seek us out, we've had several people like from the Raleigh area, and from other states that are just like, oh, I really wanted to see your shop. And so that's been really gratifying, that word's getting out that we're there. So yeah, it's been great. And very few people, some people do sort of give us like what is this place, and they don't look comfortable. And we're on a street with I think 3 to 5 churches. And I had like a customer, like a young girl come in, and she's like, well, I have to go to church now. My mom's not going to like that I was here, but I'm going to come back after church. And I was like, well, you come on. I said, bring your mom. She'll be okay. And she just started laughing. And so, yeah, that was fun. But yeah, no, it's a really great welcoming community. I love going there. So
Excellent. All right, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, and we're going to be right back with more with Lisa Wagoner right after these words. So don't go nowhere.
okay.
I just walked into this coffee shop. You'll never guess what I found. All the help is deeply engrossed in metaphysical times. You should too. I'm at the Egyptian, 475 Park Avenue in Idaho Falls, Idaho. You get your very own coffee for free, and we're open till 10.
Sister Moon Apothecary and More is a collaboration of local island witches bringing you handcrafted tools for ritual, amazing apothecary, custom vinyl work, merchandise, and so much more. But we are not just an online store. We are a sisterhood, a platform, and a voice for everything that is magical. Join us for our famous Tarot Tuesdays from 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time for a discounted reading with our amazing in-house intuitive reader and priestess, Wolf Spirit Energy, Beverly Oberlin. You can find us on Facebook at Sister Moon Store or on the web at sistermoon.shop. So fly on over and stop in for a spell.
The Pagan Rapper here, and you're listening to Iowa Pagan News Radio.
You are listening to Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network and the Podbean Podcast Network.
All right, we are back with Lisa Wagoner, the author of Positive Pagan, and staying upbeat in an offbeat world, which seems to be the toughest job that anybody's got these days.
Absolutely. It is tough, but we're not alone. And that's what the book is for. So I didn't want people to feel alone. I wanted them to have a sort of like, a friend in book form. And hopefully the book comes across that way. So yeah, I mean, all the tools that we can use in that call to us, I think that's really important, especially nowadays.
Exactly. And I gotta admit that you've even outlined some good crystals to use in your book for pretty much any of your practice that you do. I mean, it just really makes me happy to see this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're good basic crystals. I mean, I'm not a crystal expert by any stretch, but those are all ones that I use myself. So.
Mm-hmm. And that, and plus coming up with your own spell bag, and I'm here again. You can use materials that you have there at home. You don't have to go out and buy all the fancy stuff.
Exactly.
You really don't. And plus, you're also going back to seems like I have been talking about this with everybody this past couple weeks. Excuse me. Come here.
See, she's a fan.
Yeah. Basically, it goes back to rule number 1 of knowing thyself.
Yes.
And I've been talking about this with pretty much everybody over the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Because I've noticed that everybody's books that have come out lately have referenced back to that golden rule.
Yeah. I mean, because it's important. I mean, I think it's really important that you consider yourself your best friend because you're all you have, basically. If everything else fell away, I think it's really important to love yourself and care for yourself, and also to listen to yourself. I know a lot of people are scared of using their intuition, or they're not even sure what it is, but I even mentioned that in the book. It's just be still and listen, because I think we're surrounded by so much noise. Like, people have the TV going all the time, or they're listening to one podcast after another. And I'm just saying, carve out like 10 minutes in your day and meditate, stare at a candle, spend time at your altar, but be still and listen. Thank you for the link to my website. But yeah, because I think you learn so much in the silence, and you get used to hearing your intuition speaking or nudging you and telling you, hey, try this, or, go in this direction. Because I think that's really important. And I also want to have people feel empowered that they do follow, their intuition. So like I said, if I list something, like if I list a crystal that you're not resonating with, substitute something else. I mean, it will not be the end of the world, because that will be what you are drawn to, and the energy will flow from what you have picked out. So I think that's really important.
Exactly. Now, for the beginners that are coming into their magical path, what's the best kind of advice that you can give somebody who's just starting out?
I think the best advice is to, again, I think just follow your inner voice, because I think a lot of people get caught up in doing things the right way and a really stringent way. And I think the most powerful magic is something that you come up with, because it resonates with you. I mean, it's great to follow rituals and, have a springboard, but I think the real power comes in developing like your own practice and the things that feel comfortable for you. I think that's the most important thing, because I think a lot of people get so concerned with like following this person or that person, or this really strict guideline. And that's great if you need structure, but I think there should be room too for just allowing yourself to evolve and explore and see what feels good for you.
That's very true. That is so very true.
What would you say?
Well, along the same lines is that reach out to the more experienced people in the community who have good knowledge to share. Pick up a book and read, because just trying to jump in with both feet and not really have a clear understanding can lead to things backfiring on you big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're not willing to reach out and talk with our elders and authors such as yourself, people who have been around the community for a good number of years, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. To learn from others. I think we've gotten out of the habit just because of COVID and things like that, but it looks like festivals are, gearing back up, and, local meetings. I know locally we have a lot more going on than we've had in the past 2 years. And that's just so heartwarming, because you get to be with other like-minded people, and that really helps boost your practice, I feel. I mean, and you could be a happy solitary practitioner, but I still think you get a boost from being around other people that think similarly, or along the same lines. It could inspire you to do other things, or do things differently, or build upon what you already have.
Exactly. And especially with PSG happening right now.
Yes.
They are in a brand new location as well.
Nice.
They are down around the Ozarks in Missouri.
Very nice. Yeah, I saw that. That's great.
Yeah. Byron posted pictures of they had a storm roll through the other day.
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah.
And
glad they're all safe.
Yeah, glad they're all safe. I mean, because it goes back to the old adage: it's not a pagan festival unless you have a good storm.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
I just don't think they wanted to have a repeat of, what was it, 2015, when they got rained out, flooded out, I should say.
Oh yeah.
That was bad, but yeah, I'm hoping that everybody was in one piece down there and that they are still having a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. We're a hardy folk, so yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, it seems like even when you're holding smaller events like Pagan Pride,
Hmm.
and it's like it's not a successful day unless you've got a storm rolls through.
Yeah.
I've, I've been in a number of those. It's always funny, but uh,
Isn't that great though? I mean, it is like just seeing the power of nature. And that is just, to me, that is just so wonderful. Of course, don't want anybody flooded out, but yeah, just seeing the power of nature, I think is just amazing. So, and that's one thing, another thing I mentioned in the book is just, I was asked that the other day, like, what would you tell a person who's just being like resistant and not feeling positive? And I, immediately said, my first thing is always, if you can go outside and walk barefoot, do that, or get outside, in nature to a park or a state park, a body of water. If you're living in a city, make sure you have plants, touch the dirt, just to connect yourself. Because I think a lot of times we're off spinning in space, and to ground yourself with nature is just so important and helps you, find your way back to center.
right. Well, especially seeing watching nature happen with all the energy that is spun up at festivals.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, definitely agreed. Are you going to any this year?
I'm hoping to, yes.
Yay.
I'm still recovering from having Guillain-Barré syndrome from last.
Oh,
So I'm still in the process of recovering. I do have my mobility back, which is good. Uh,
good.
so I'm really hoping to be able to get out to some festivals this year and
Oh,
be able to connect with a lot more people.
oh, good. Will you be going live when you do that?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. I'll look for that.
Yep. Yeah, especially if I've got good reception to do it. Otherwise, I'll be recording a bunch of sessions and
Yeah,
then putting them out when I get home.
which is also good. Yes.
Yes. Now, you're also a co-host of a podcast as well.
That's right. Yeah, the owner, Pasha, and I co-host Mystic Tea, which is a podcast pretty much just about our magical community and people that are just in our lives or around us, or if we have a subject that we're fascinated about. We're still sort of new. We have less than 10 episodes, but yeah, we're having a great time with it.
Nice.
Yeah, we've talked about like mushrooms and, intentional eating and all kinds of really fun things. So yeah, and thriving as an empath, we had that one as well. So yeah, we've had all kinds of really interesting subjects. So that's a real joy to do.
Cool. Well, if you two ever want to come and join me, you're more than welcome.
I will pass that along to her. Thank you.
Because I'm always looking for. Uh, right now, I'm on the lookout for a new co-host.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
I did have one who is also an author, but she took over the ownership of the Metaphysical Times newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Her time has been wrapped up in that, so
Yeah, no doubt.
she's been quite busy with that. So needless to say, yeah, I'm now looking for a new co-host, but
Okay.
we're just gonna wait and see what happens here. Um, Now, let's see, you have written another one besides this one, right?
Well, this is my first full-length book. I've been in anthologies. The most recent one was Queens of the Quill, and that was my first piece of fiction, actually, that I got published. So that was pretty cool. And it was all female writers or identified as female. So yeah, that was really great. And also, I am part of Jason Mankey's The Witch's Altar. I have a small section in there, and then a book called My Wandering Uterus, which is all about travel essays by women.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any other projects going on?
As far as writing,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I keep the blog going. I'm working on my second book. Not sure where it's going to land or what's happening with it, but I've already started it. So, pretty much, hopefully, it'll be a companion piece to Positive Pagan. But we'll see. I might, spin off and do something else. I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to write a book on Bridget, just because I'm devoted to her and she is nudging me to do that. But I'm not sure because there's so many amazing books already written about Bridget. I'm not sure what I could add to that. But that's the other projects that's like on the back burner.
Nice. Well, there's always a way of expressing differences with your own experiences with Bridget to where from what other people have had. So
Yeah.
there's always room to include on telling people about Bridget and how she can be a good influence.
Oh, thank you. That is quite the boost. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. I mean, this subject of being a positive pagan, there's a lot of books on positivity that are out there. So, yeah, it's nice that this book sort of it's very personal to me because it took like all the best bits and pieces I've had in my lifetime of practice and I have it in book form now. So it is really seriously just like me in book form. So.
Okay, so this was everything that's in here has been on your own experiences.
Absolutely. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, this is a good book to add to any library because I have, like I said, I've dedicated this last couple weeks to spending time getting to know a bunch of Llewellyn authors,
Mhm.
and when I get sent your book, as well as Jason's and a bunch of other people's, like I had to go through them, and it's like I'm glad to have these in my library.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've had a couple of people say they're going to use them in their workshops. I'm so honored because, they wanted a good, solid book for, beginners and maybe a little bit more advanced as well. So, yeah, that's been great. Hey, Brian.
Brian says, "Hey, Lisa, congratulations on the new book."
Thank you. Thank you.
And hello, Brian. Uh, let's see. Now, Brian, did you get a chance to go down to PSG? I wasn't sure if you were heading down that way or not. Because I know that you've got a lot on your schedule. So just kind of fill us in on what's been going on. And we'll have I'm definitely going to have to schedule another session with you coming
Yeah, I
up.
was about to say you should get them on there.
Yeah, because
Another pagan artist.
yeah, well, we had a good chat. Let's see, this was what way earlier in the year, but I'm definitely going to have him back on for another update.
Oh, very cool. Well, what a great service you're doing too. Thank you. Because what a great one-stop shopping kind of thing where you have all these lovely pagan artists and talking about different mediums and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate it.
Plus, I've also got hooked up with a bunch of networking sessions on Alignable, and even though to me, it seems like I'm the odd man out with what I do, but uh, everybody in the mundane world has been really anxious to learn more about what I'm doing here at Iowa Pagan News.
Wonderful.
So that's been a positive thing for me.
Yeah. See, use the word positive. That's great. Yeah. I think it's really important to bridge, the mundane world with us. And, I've been really tickled. Like, I've had a lot of people in my life that, follow a different spiritual path, like Catholics and Protestants and all these things. And I've been really tickled. They buy the book because of me, because they know me, but they really are enjoying it and using it in their lives because I think, I wanted to build a bridge. I didn't want it to be, scary and off limits and show that these are things you can do that will enhance whatever it is you already practice. That was really important to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice when you can write a book on your own experiences and the knowledge that you've gained over the years
Yeah.
to convey to people on pretty much any level.
Right.
So again, people, be sure to get your own copy of Positive Pagan. It is, like I said, it's a good book to have in your library. It's chock full of really good, useful information that is good for both beginner and the seasoned practitioner.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the design of it looked really good too. It turned out so beautiful that I really hope the designer wins lots of awards for it, because that cover was in my head and somehow they figured that out. So,
Excellent.
oh, looks like Brian wrote back.
Yeah, and let's see. Not PSG. He was over at Free Spirit Gathering, Maryland. Okay. Let's see. Oh, he's going. Yep, he's going to over to Wisteria, and next up is Starwood. He has been really pushing on that one. I don't know if I'm going to get over there or not, Brian. I know you've been pushing me to get over there, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it over there this time. Gas prices come down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge, isn't it?
It is. I mean, shoot, here in town, it's costing about 40, $50 just to fill up the tank now. It's like, no.
Yeah. But it hasn't stopped people from traveling, which I find fascinating. But yeah.
I know. Like, I had a feeling, I wasn't sure how many people were going to go to PSG this year, but from the pictures I've seen and everything else, sounds like they've had a good turnout.
Yeah, that's really good to see. Looks like things are opening back up. I'm really excited about it.
Yep. And then, okay, so he is going up to, so you are going up to Sacred Harvest in Minnesota. Now, that one I may try to get up to, because that one's a little bit closer to home.
Ooh. How far is Minnesota from Iowa? I'm bad with geography.
Let's see. From where I'm at up to the Twin Cities, that's roughly about 3.5, 4 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Nah, it's not all that bad. Shoot. When I was actually living up there, I was driving back and forth down to home every weekend, and that's a 5-hour trip one way.
Wow.
So, I was doing that every weekend, so that's nothing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you taking time out to join me today, and it's been really been positive to get to know you and get to know your book.
Thank you.
Definitely going to be staying in touch.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. And keep me up to date as to what you've got going on. Check out LisaWagoner.com. I've also got her Facebook profile scrolling down here on the bottom. And tell everybody the best ways they can get in touch with you.
Definitely through my website, Lisa Wagoner. It has listings too. I have Positive Pagan like merchandise, a link to TeePublic where you can get like t-shirts and cups and mugs, designed by my really, really talented friend, really unique designs. I think you'll like it. So it also has all my events listed, ways to get in touch. If you need an autographed copy, contact me there. All kinds of things. So yeah, just find me there. I also do readings and Reiki as well as, right? So you can find me there, and then find me at Pathos at Witch Indeed. And I should have a new blog up on Sunday, so you can find me there as well.
Excellent. And yeah, be sure to check out her blog post on Pathos Pagan under Witch Indeed. You'll be able to keep up to date with what she's got going on there, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. So
yeah,
again, thank you for taking time out to join me. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been another edition of Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network. And as always, be sure to keep everyone safe around you. And if you're going to be outside at festivals or whatever, just keep an eye on yourself. Keep an eye on the temperatures. Make sure to hydrate. Oh yeah, and Brian said that he hopes to see you next time he's in Asheville.
Okay.
Be sure to stop into the shop there, Brian.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
All
Pleasant
right.
journeys.
Thank you.
And we are going to be out of here for the day. Thank you for tuning in as always. We will see you again. Let's see. I've got more interviews coming up next week. So stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast. All shows are recorded and available for download at plrdn.podbean.com. All rights are reserved and may not be replayed without written permission by IAPN Radio Management. Come join us at our new group, IAPN Radio on Facebook, where you can be kept up to date for future broadcasts. Pleasant journeys, everyone.